Thank you very much for joining, and we'll start with a quick introduction of the speakers, and then like developing what we've been doing together throughout the country in Senegal to help women empowerment and contribute as much as we can to better gender equality. So I'm going to start having these screens moving. Arona, do you want to start with introducing yourself?
Okay, thank you, Lauren, and good morning to everybody. My name is Arona Diao. I'm veterinarian, and I'm part of Laiterie du Berger team, and I'm here today with Bagore, our CEO, and Mustafa Thiam. He's in charge of community development. I have about, I'm in Laiterie du Berger about 12 years now, and I capitalized about 25 years experience in livestock development, and mainly in dairy production and dairy value chain. Thank you, and I will develop what we are doing in Laiterie du Berger and what we achieve about the community development and impact through our activities. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you. Shall I go? Okay. So thank you, Lorraine, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. My name is Marlène Menou. I've been working for Tostan since more than 3 years now as a gender and protection specialist. So I'm supporting both the program teams as well as the whole organizational gender mainstreaming thinking. Tostan's community-based approach has its own implicit way to address gender through its community engagement program. And I'm very pleased to be able to present that to you today with my colleague, Dioma. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marlène. Thank you, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here and to have you in this meeting. I have been in Tostan since 4 years, and I am responsible of our MERL with other colleagues, and also I am responsible of our analytics task force, which main objective is to help our organization, Tostan, to become a data-driven organization. And as you will see, I will present to you after some of our results, our main results of our program in 4 countries. Thank you so much.
I'm Senior Manager at IDinsight based in Dakar. We at IDinsight work as research. We're more a research boutique and working with data and evidence, helping policymakers to improve their programs through data and evidence. And we've been super lucky to be partnering with Tostan and La Laiterie du Berger Kossam for the past 3 years. And I have to confess that we were the one who were like pushing them to actually like share to the world the great work that they're doing on the ground. And so that's why we're here today. So our presentation is splitting in this 4 sections, 4 big steps. So La Laiterie is going to start like describing the great work that they do in northern Senegal with women dairy farmers. Then Tostan is going to discuss more the solution that they've implemented throughout Senegal with the community engagement program, community empowerment program. And then we'll have this like small section looking at how we've been trying to understand what works and like how that leads through to like building this partnership together. And so I'm pausing there and give the floor to Arona.
Thank you, Lauren. And once again, I want to share with you the presentation of Letter du Budget and what we did achieve these last years. For a brief presentation, Letter du Budget is a social business, and our major mission is to build a local milk value chain. And along the years, we did integrate key competencies, I should say key critical jobs, because a lot of time we need to build with, in a local situation, this kind of work. And when I said local value chain, mainly business don't take account to the market. And with our model, we did build competencies, jobs about our major need in competencies. And in milk value chain, in the upstream, in the downstream, we did work a lot with smallholders, because when we think about milk collection, it's not just coming and collecting milk. It's about how to support smallholders and how to organize them to collect their milk. And we did achieve, about this organization, we collect from, at the beginning in 2007, we did start with about only 120 20 suppliers, smallholders, and as of last year, we were about 20,000 smallholders we're working with, and it's not individually smallholders, it is about families, and it's a big step. We did, it grew this number of smallholders by about 17. It's a big step for us. And about the volume of milk collected, last year we did collect about 2.5 million liters from these families. And as I said, it's not just collecting milk, it's about supporting these breeders. It means how to let them access to animal feeds and training and other needs, and to be, focused on this part of the value chain. We did create by 2018 a new company called by LTB and the Headers Cooperative. And one thing it did work on this organization of milk collection is how to integrate digitalization, because it was a way to be more, successful about managing data and about being more, more closer and more efficient with all this operation about distributing feed, about collecting milk, and also about paying these breeders. We did use a lot of digitalization to make this operation successful. And the second part of this solution is all this milk chain is once collect, it's processed by our plant, our plant. This plant is about 400 kilometers from Dakar. It means it's in rural area. It means a lot of challenge to make work this kind of industry, process far from the capital where every technical stuff is located. And it was a challenge, to implement this plan, to make it work, and to staff with local, local people, to train them, and it was successful because we did a lot of work to make this plant work, and also about the capacity. We did a little increase of the capacity of this plant, and by now we're looking for 25 tons of capacity by the end of the years. And it's a way to more valorize this local milk and to produce dairy product in order to distribute it in a market. And in our business plan, we need to save more. It means to increase this capacity of this plant, and this plant going to be centralized, and that's why we have a project to implement a new factory not far from Dakar, which is the capital. And at the upstream, we set up a large network for micro distribution, and I would like to highlight the specificity of this network, because it's a lot of small point of sales, a lot of small shops, and it's about more than 20 point of shop. It means a lot of way to manage this small point of sale, and that's why we did digitalize also the way to sell and also the way to manage the data. It is a big innovation for us, because we have the most large network of point of sale in Senegal, more than 20,000, as I said, and it's a way also to develop, to make more our label. Dolima is our label. It was a way of, to let you know, and it I forgot Marc, comment on dit ça, Marc déposé, j'ai oublié.
The brand.
The brand, exactly. Thank you, Bagore. The brand. The brand, is well known by the population, by the consumer. Dolima is now, a brand name known by the population. And about the sales, we did grow a lot of, because from $0.5 million in 2007, last year, we made about 30 million. It means a big step, a big growth. And for the next years, we plan to go about 25% per year. And it's a big challenge for us to make it, and to also set up the capacity we need for this industrial processing, and also to achieve our target about collecting milk. Next, please. And with this slide, it's a way to highlight what we achieved since then, and in particular, the last 5 years, when we see about the milk collected, the yellow line, we did by 2019, if we see, we collect about 1 million liters, and by last year's, it was about 2.5 million liters. It's a big achievement, because we should remind 2000 and 2020, it was, I mean, the COVID crisis, and it's a way to highlight the resilience of our business model, because besides this crisis, we did achieve this result. And about the number of supply too, in 2019, it was just, they were just 485 family supplier, and by last year's, they were 2,000. It means they did grow about 13 times. And about the proportion of women, we did a lot of work to improve their position, because from 2019 they were about 35%, and by last year the women represent about 54%. And at the left side, it was about the revenue. We see that the revenue did grow from 2023. It was about 13% growth each year, and it represents a significant revenue for these suppliers. Next, please. And just to show up what we did in the fields, about how to, I mean, from herders who have, I mean, breed, we did try to support them to become milk supplier, because it's not the same status. Having cows, it doesn't mean being milk supply. We need to be support, and in our model, we did set up a strategy, some support to let them evaluate as a professional, as a milk supply. And for that, we did introduce new model of making milk by implementing what we call mini farms. It's just a cow shed with 4 to 6 cows, in which we select, I mean, 2 crossbreed cows or other cows more productive. That's a way to modernize the production model. You know, all the things is with these breeders, we did facilitate how to access finance, and we did train them in entrepreneurship to more manage their production, milk production. We did set up teams to support these headers and their cooperative, because the cooperative is a shareholder of the subsidiary we set up, And one of major mission is to support this cooperative about how to be more dynamic and to strengthen its good governance. And as I said, we did use a lot of digital tools to make operations successful. Next, please. Yes, Lorraine? I don't hear you. Hello?
Yes, can you hear me well?
Next.
Yes, no, we have a question on the chat from Vivian, who is asking about the involvement of women in the activities from the field to the factory. So he's wondering, like, how did you manage to reach from this 34% to this 54% that you showed in the previous slide? Like, did you do any positive discrimination for them or things like that?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. The first thing is traditionally women are, managing and always managing dairy milk. But the fact is, when we start working with breeders, mainly that's the man who accept to be collect. As a chief of the family, that's the man who we take the name of the chief of family at the beginning. But things are changing once they were more confident about what's the milk collection, and women start to be what we said, the chief of the can. It means the person who manages the can. The can, it means the supplier. Things change. But the last years, we did effectively positive discrimination about who should be managing the milk production in the family. That's why we did achieve this result without disturbing the social organization of the family. That's what we did, and we're confident it become more easy to position women about this activity. That's what we did. I hope I did respond to that, to the question. Yeah, and also one of our main action is the work we did in the incubation center, which is a farm, a dairy farm, where we train young women from this headless family. We choose to do it because we hope that that's a way to strengthen this part of community, and we think they will become the woman managing family in order to change a lot of things about the position of the woman in families. It's a way, to change things. It's integrate in our theory of change. We set up with IDinsight, and by now, since 2019, we did train about 100 girls, and we follow up this change in their family. It's not just about how to manage milk, it's also how to improve their we train them to in their local literacy. They train them to know how to count, how to read in their local language, and also a lot of other training about agroecological practice, and also Next, please. And another thing important, because in our model, we used to, to start with an economic entry, and with all these studies with partners and partnership with NGOs, and we are in a way to change our strategy intervention, because with Nebedai, with IDinsight, with Tostan, we just realized that we need more than economic entry. We need to have, information data. We need to know what our economic support have had as impact in social. In a social aspect, and that's why it's not just about training, supporting headers in milk production. It's also supporting them is other domain to improve their life. That's why we did work with Novelai in this environmentation protection and everything about construction of stove. Yes, that's stove, I think. Right? Construction of stove in order, to improve improve stove with local materials, and it's a way, to reduce the use of five woods. It's a way to use to reduce the use of wood. The more light, Nebedai did a lot of sensibilization about environmental education, and one of the things we did with Tostan is about this program we will talking. We will develop with Tostan intervention. I think we have a next slide, or that's the last. Okay, that's the last. I don't know if Bagoi have something to add with my presentation.
No, I think it is done now. Maybe if there are questions, but let's go like this.
Okay, thank you, and we're still waiting for question. Lauren, you're off. Yeah.
Lauren, we can't hear you.
You're muted.
Yeah.
You're muted, Lauren.
We don't. No. Yeah, better. It's better.
So there's a question in the chat from Yusuf asking if there is also a value chain created for the agroforestry plot, and how you're tracking the reforestation. Like, do you have indicators that you look at with the partnership we have with Nebedai?
With Nebedai, it wasn't, a project, formal project. It was just some training to sensibilize them about the importance of environment, and to train them how to make some comment on appelle ça encore, des pépinières là. Well, I mean, we didn't have an indicator for that. It was just I mean, some best practice. Oui, Baba, Pépinière.
Maybe, no, I don't know. Nebedai is doing the consolidation of all the data according to the number of foyer amélioré. I don't know how you say it in English, but you know the agroforestry units that they do. But we don't do this consolidation. You know, Nebedai is a standalone NGO who does that, who make intervention in the whole country, Senegal and so on. And we just invited them to come into our area to do this work, but till now we didn't consolidate their data. I know they made about 2,000 foyers améliorés. I don't know how to say foyer amélioré in English. Stuff. 2,000
stoves.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alvina. I think we don't have any open question on the chat. So maybe Tostan wants to take the lead to explain what they're also like doing in rural Senegal to find and build solutions for women empowerment.
Thank you very much, Lorraine. So yes, exactly. We would like with our presentation to show you how Tostan's approach supports women empowerment through community engagement. So do you mind? I have condensed a lot our presentation, but we are of course available to share more information during the discussion afterwards or even by email. So don't hesitate. So a few words about Tostan first. We were founded more than 30 years ago now by Molly Melching in Senegal. We currently work in 5 West African countries, so Senegal, Mali, the Gambia, Guinea, and Guinea-Bissau. Our vision is dignity for all, and we tend to achieve that through our mission to empower communities to develop and achieve their own vision for the future and to inspire large-scale movements leading to dignity for all. We have worked with thousands of communities and we have developed our flagship program and reached more than 3,500 communities in Africa so far. Next. So throughout these 30 years of experience, we have designed our flagship program called the CEP, the Community Empowerment Program. So the CEP lasts 3 years, during which Tostan, there is one Tostan locally trained facilitator, man or woman, who comes and lives and works with each partner community and implements sensitization and social mobilization activities. So the first phase is called the COBI, as you can see here on the chart, COBI 1, COBI 2. COBI lasts over 1 year. COBI means preparing the field for planting in Mandinka. So the objective of this first phase is to develop the community vision for well-being and to support the community members with the action planning of this vision. Community members learn about democracy, human rights and responsibilities, and also basic hygiene and sexual and reproductive health principles in class sessions. Then comes the second phase called the Aude. Aude means planting the seed in Fulani. So over 2 years, Aude phase concentrates on providing communities with literacy, numeracy skills, and to reinforce project management capacities of community members. We also support them, especially women, through community development funds, to promote their income generating activities. Next, please. Yes, while community members define their common vision for well-being, the CEP makes sure to emphasize relational aspects, such as peace, harmony, nonviolent communication, etc., because all of these are linked with social cohesion, which is central to Tostan's approach. In the human rights-based approach is essential to engage men and women together, as well as adults and youth, in learning and discussing to reinforce the collective and peaceful decision-making processes. We also make sure to work in local languages so that no one is left behind. It's very important to state here that we consistently find that reinforcing the capacity of communities to bring systemic social change from within is of very high importance. You know, the relational well-being supports the functional well-being. So it's very central to what we do. Next, please. So learning, discussing, agreeing on human rights and responsibilities to be applied to everyone and connecting them with new learning really help the community members to explore new roles and behaviors, including a reinforced voice, agency, and leadership of women. Community members are able to experiment these new roles and rights in their everyday lives. You know, for example, we have been observing an increase in birth registration rates, for example, or the vaccination rates, and you know, a decrease of domestic violence. So these are just a few examples, but it speaks for itself. Next, please. So the key mechanisms of Tostan's approach beyond the class sessions are the reinforcement of communities' decision-making bodies like the CMCs, so the community management committees, which are composed of at least 50% of women. Also, the engagement and the training of local authorities, and the organized diffusion strategy, which ensures that the diffusion of the learning and the social shift not only happens within the community, but also much beyond, you know, throughout the whole social network. So next, please. Yeah, it's just a quick example. You know, this strategy, we ask each class participant to commit to adopt at least one other community member who is not participating in the class, and to share the information learned and to discuss that after each session, so that, you know, everything is widespread. Thank you. Next. So this is just a sentence that summarizes what I've just said. You know, for Tostan, the benefits for women are expected to occur in the form of reinforced women capabilities through the improved harmony within the communities and the households and more equitable social norms. So that's what we want to bring to you know, our cooperation, our partnership with Laiterie du Berger. So now I will let, I think next slide, I will let Duma present our main results.
Thank you so much, Marlene, for the detail on our program. Now I will show you what are some results of our program by our final evaluation we did for Breakthrough Generation Initiative Program, which we implement it in 4 countries. Okay. Before we start to review the results, it is important to highlight that with our approach, we have a cluster of communities and a district-wide focus to make a movement of change, like we see in this map. Next. In terms of methodology, the evaluation of Breakthrough Generation Initiative was conducted internally by Tostan staff. We applied a mixed method design with quantitative and qualitative approach. And we use a representative sample of 20% of village in each country. In total, we have 2,743 people surveyed and 66 focus group realized. And for the analysis, we have a team of 2 qualitative researchers who code and analyze qualitative data. And we use SPSS to to make a descriptive analysis. Next. Now we will review the results of the evaluation, whose objective was to determine if we reach a breakthrough generation initiative goals and to learn internally. It is important to mention that the results are community-wide, and you will see in the following slide that the focus has been done on the respondent given by other communities members that are not class participants and not adopted learners and members of community members, like you see in the presentation of Marlene. So the change is happening in the community through the organized diffusion and other activities. But elsewhere, results are somewhat higher for class participants and adopted learners. Next. Okay. Here we try to capture the acceptability of removing girl or boy from the school. What we see is gender disparities disappear over the 3 years as a value of education increases. At the beginning of the program, acceptable was 24% in Guinea to remove girl from school, and it is less acceptable to remove boy from school. But at the end of the program, it becomes not acceptable to remove girl or boy from school. The most important thing here is not that it is unacceptable in general, but the fact is that it is unacceptable equally for girls and boys. Next, please. As other results, we also seen new or reinforced behaviors for better health, and we specifically made the point not to show increase of knowledge, but rather in changing behavior thanks to the knowledge acquired. On sensitive subjects, such as the use of birth registration, we certainly have a lot of red tape, but the fact remains that this is an important change. In Gambia, for example, we have gone, no, Lauren, come back, please. Yes, I just want to show the example of Gambia. We have gone from 13% to almost 40%, which are very remarkable. Next. As other results, we see a major increase in birth registration across the 4 countries. And this is a testimony from our qualitative data, which shows the importance of birth registration for community members. Yes. This graph shows how women's voice, influence, and leadership increase dramatically. You have the baseline at the left side of each country, and you see that it is mostly in red. At the right, it is the inline data. We will move from light green to dark green according to the different category we have here, and also the higher of the result. Here the results are both at community level by measuring women who express their idea at community meetings, and also at household level with joint decision making through different topics. Here we have birth spacing and the decision of sending children to school. Next. Here when we review the qualitative data and put them to frame what is coming up and are most important for communities members, social cohesion and collective action comes very high. And these are some testimonies, which the first one show peace is strengthening in families and in the home. And the second one show how people are now working together in the community. Next. We will now look at other type of results relating to social norm. Here it is a sheet of, and with each image is show as an impact, and we have in the red mean they approve or are indifferent, and the light green mean they disapprove but are not acting, and the green as they are taking action. Here for this graph, we take data from other communities members, and you see the most part here, there is a huge of transformation. At first, most people didn't care, and then most people were ready to take action. If you take female genital cutting or child marriage, corporal punishment, you will see for other countries, almost it is a huge of transformation. But for a steady change, you can also see for Gambia, we have really reduced the indifference and increased the willingness to act. I think this is the end of my presentation, and I will hand over to my colleague to continue, and I will be delighted to answer any question you may have after. Thank you. Marlene, you have the floor.
Thank you, Juma. Thank you, Lorraine. So now, oh yeah, it's your turn, right? It's not working well, Lorraine, the sound.
We can't hear you.
No.
No, I can hear you, but you.
Now, yes.
Ah, okay. Magnifique. So this is fine. Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Yeah, so just a few slides to share what we've been doing with Kossam and Tostan to actually try to understand a bit better what works and how we can like make things work even better. So yeah, this is just IDinsight in a very quick nutshell. As I said, we use data and evidence to help leaders combat poverty worldwide. And we put a special emphasis on using the right tool at the right moment to answer questions. And so we're going to describe a bit more what we've done with Kossam and Tostan. The idea is really to try to design better policies, test what works, and also prepare organizations like Tostan and Kossam to scale. So first, we started with understanding where gender lies in the theory of change for Tostan and Kossam. Then for both organizations, we conduct process evaluation to really understand better the program effect on women economic empowerment. And then the idea was really to co-construct recommendation. So what is a process evaluation? A process evaluation actually describes in a very systematic way and in a very systematic way how a theory of change look on the ground, basically. So this is like you build your theory, you think that your program is doing X, Y, Z, and the process evaluation goes back to the field and actually discuss with participants, with beneficiaries, to collect data on how things are actually implemented in terms of activities and also in terms of how the output of the activities and like the intermediary results materialize or not. So we compare what we observe on the field with the expectation of the theory of change. And we do this with we start with also looking at the academic literature to build the theory of change. We look at how the program is supposed to be implemented through the standard operating procedures and other implementing documents. And then we interview key informant people, and we sample a target of participants or beneficiary who are representative of the full group. So the way it works is we have an IDinsight associate with a field team of trained enumerators, transcriptors, to be able to capture also the color and not just data, but also the verbatim and just having stories. And we use quantitative and qualitative surveys with the intention to collect data and get the voice of respondents too. So with Kossam SDE, we had a sample size, we actually met with milk collectors, counselors, shop managers, and this incubated women farmer. And we had qualitative interview with them, really open to understand how they work and what is their experience with their daily work and with the incubation program. We conducted focus group with the cooperative member. So the cooperative of Dagana, the milk cooperative of Dagana, who is shareholder of Kossam and who is really involved in especially the shop management and the organization of the professionalization of milk production in the area. And then we had quantitative and qualitative surveys with women and men farmers and their partners, because we were also interested in the theory of change of Kossam. As Awana mentioned, there is also a lot of a vision for economic empowerment, bringing empowerment of the individual, and that's why it's so important for women to be involved in the milk production and in receiving the milk money, so that they get to get more agency and empowered. And so it was important to actually speak with partners to check if on the ground within the household you actually could see this empowerment raising. The main finding regarding this women economic empowerment approach that Kossam implements is that we saw that men seems to decide on the use of money within the household, whether they are the farmer or the partner's farmer. Even when women are the one who own their own can, like the bidon, who are actually the one receiving the milk money. And the husband is not even necessarily supposed to know how much money has been made. The decision is still within the husband. We also saw that it was difficulty to have the advice that the advisor were giving implemented by women farmers, where they were actually the ones who were the most receptive in terms of actually having this advice. So they were super interested in the service, but they could not really implement the advice and the action that was needed. And thirdly, we also saw that women, some female farmer and spouse, mentioned difficult situation within the household related to their gender, gender-based violence and other sort of constraints. And so that made us realize that maybe this link in the theory of change of going through women empowerment via women economic empowerment was not 100% solid. So our recommendation was to explore partnering with local organizations working on women empowerment in a more holistic way, and beyond only or exclusively or mostly economic empowerment. The other idea to improve the program in this sense was to also consider integrating negotiation skills building, for instance, in particular in the incubation program, which is dedicated only to female farmers, so that it could contribute to women empowerment in a more holistic way, because if like this female farmer would have like more tools and skills to be able to push for the decision in the household potentially. With Tostan, I'm gonna discuss. We had actually Tostan is doing a lot of things in addition to the community empowerment program that Marlene mentioned, which is like the flagship program. But we wanted to show some results on something that is more specific. That is a microgrant program that Tostan implemented in 2020. Funded by the Mastercard Foundation, and which was more related to like in the aftermath of COVID-19. And so it was like the idea was to strengthen economic resilience of resource poor communities with an angle to target women also in particular. So that like the program was related to COVID awareness raising activities, but also bringing like money, so actually also linking to this like economic empowerment or economic resilience, so bringing money to the communities to support community projects, and a cash transfer model of 75,000 francs CFA, so roughly 100 euros, and I don't know exactly in dollar. But paid in 3 installments of 25,000 francs CFA every 2 months, and so distributed via mobile money to 20 individual as like 20 household beneficiaries per villages. So in Medina Yorofula, in southern Senegal, and in Rano-Ferlo, which is more in northern Senegal. So in regions that are actually a bit different from where Kossam is working. And so the way the beneficiaries have been identified were by selection, by community selection committee, who had a few criteria in mind, like households that are held by women widowed were primarily considered. Household where you had like kids under 5, households who had lost a lot of their economic economic resources during COVID, and criteria like these to help the community selection committee identify who were the most needed the most in need in the community. And we conducted a process evaluation also on Tostan microgrant programs, discussing with 200 beneficiaries and 77 spouses, again with this idea of trying to identify like household decision-making processes in a very light way, but still. So having this like big phone survey with a handful of beneficiaries and spouse, in particular in Medina Yorofula. And we also conducted like qualitative and quantitative survey with like a smaller sample of people in Ranérou-Ferlo. So 17 beneficiaries and 7 spouses, and we finally conducted qualitative interviews with community selection committees to understand like how the program was implemented and what were the benefits, and also understanding like how this program could scale up. And the main findings regarding microgrant was like the gender angle. we found that 54.2% of microgrant beneficiaries were actually women, which flagged that, the same way Awana actually mentioned initially, like when you target the head of the household in Senegal, you tend to have mostly men. And so that's like, if you want to target women within the household, that raise a question of like, does that make sense to be working with the household head? Then what was super interesting, and that's like, that resonates with what Marlene mentioned for the CEP results, and Juma also. Actually, I forgot to mention that the microgrant program was implemented in communities that had taken the community empowerment program a couple of years ago, and that's super important because that's actually like, we can't make a causal effect. We didn't conduct an impact evaluation in this case, but these findings resonate a lot with the expectation of Tostan for the CEP outcome. So one is, regardless of gender, beneficiaries always consulted their spouse on how to spend the grant fund, and that's so men and women would consult their spouse. So generally speaking, men and women were equal participants in deciding how grant funds were spent. Then, interestingly enough, women were more likely to make decisions about productive purchases alone, while men were more likely to decide on food. So that's something that could sound a bit surprising, and that really make a case for the fact that the CEP program could actually like bring results for women to be more engaged in income generating activities. And finally, what we also saw was that women were more likely to mention being affected by COVID-19 through the loss of work. School closure also affected them a lot, while men were more likely to say that they were not affected. And it's important to see that actually women felt more resilient than men, on a range from 0 to 5 after receiving this microgrant. How resilient do you feel and more prepared for the next pandemic or for a potential, like a next crisis, let's say? Women scored 3.09 while men scored 2.5. So again, no causal claim here, but like very strong indication and positive indication of how women who participated to the community empowerment program and then receiving economic support through the microgrant could actually gain confidence and use that in a productive way. Our recommendation to Tostan was then to provide intentional guidelines to the community selection committee when identifying microgrant recipients, so that most of the microgrant could actually go to women and a larger share of women being involved. We also recommended that you combining microgrants with the community empowerment program, like the holistic community empowerment program, was likely to make decision about was likely to be positive for women and for them to make decision about productive assets. So when scaling up such a program, it was important to keep the relation between the CEP and this economic push, and combining the two was powerful. Was powerful. And then the third recommendation was to keep on monitoring implementation closely, try to investigate Tostan programming in a rigorous way, and to make sure that we could actually invest. We suggested to Tostan to invest in investigating these results in a more rigorous way, because this is so promising that it would be great to be able to actually have this causal claim. So we observed that there are positive signal of men and women being equal partners in these communities. And it would be great to be able to actually like have this causal club. And that's, what we did with Tostan and Kossam, and that really led us to think, well, actually, that would be so great that they work together. And that's what Marlène is going to tell you about.
Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you. Yeah. So my objective is now just to come back to some of the key results that we hope the CEP will contribute to this joint project of Tostan and Lettres du Berger. So I just want to state here that working in partnership is one key pillar of our new strategy. Actually, Tostan's new strategy entitles Partnerships for Community Wellbeing. So with this project with Lettres du Berger, we really hope to bring a partnership forward to support even more communities with which we work. So so as Bagoré just presented earlier, Lettres du Berger is a social enterprise. So the main focus and strength is women empowerment through the economic capacities spectrum. Tostan, on the other hand, has a holistic and community-based approach, and our intention is to support positive social change through knowledge, attitudes, and practices. So, next. So, first of all, a few words about this partnership. So our two organizations decided to partner and implement this project in the Dagana department in northern Senegal. This department is composed of 11 districts. The objective is to reach all communities and district officials thanks to the CEP and its organized diffusion strategy. So that's about more than 35,000 people and more than half of whom are women. So yeah, next. So a few words about the context. I know Bagoré and Lorraine already mentioned that, but in northern Senegal, it's important to understand that empowering women through economic support programs can be very challenging due to social norms. So Pulaar culture dictates that a woman's role in the milk chain is limited to milking the cows, while the men are expected to own the cattle and to sell the milk. Thus, they are reaping the economic rewards often. So additionally, women often don't take part in the decision-making processes, and there are high rates of school dropouts for girls, high rates of child marriage, of domestic violence, and this contributes also to the barriers for women and youth to participate in the milk value chain. Next. So that's why we really hope this complementary approach will reach our final objective to support women's holistic empowerment. What has been done so far between our two organizations is that we have held several meetings with the authorities, the regional and local authorities, with the potential partner communities. We have also introduced capacity building and project sharing sessions with local officials. And we have discussed and thought on how to implement and to monitor the impact of the capacity building actions. Next. So what are the key results we expect to achieve? The first and direct results are, of course, to build and to increase the capacities of women and youth to manage economic activities. By doing so, there will be increased decision-making power for women and youth, both at household and community level. And we hope that there will be a more equitable redistribution of the benefits of the milk value chain. This will bring, of course, increased access to financial resources for women and youth. And with all of this, we hope that their voice and influence across the communities will be increased, providing them potentially with new social positions. And overall, we really expect that there will be a strengthened social cohesion between the communities. and general improved well-being for everyone. You know, so that's a lot of expected results, direct and indirect, and yeah. One quick illustration about you know what the CEP has already brought to other you know communities with which we have worked, and that we hope this will bring to these new communities as well. You know, even if women are receiving the money, like Lorraine said, you know, from the selling of the milk, they are often not the final decision makers for the use of this money. But we expect that after the implementation of the project, the household members will be able to share common decisions and talk about the use of the earned fund, so that the benefits, you know, contribute to the well-being of everyone. Thank you. So as you have seen with Juma's presentation, you know, Tostan has a very robust monitoring and evaluation system, and we really hope to bring that to the project. But of course, we will also work with IDinsight as external evaluator so that we understand the social changes and the potential shifts in practices and behaviors that will happen during the project. And we really hope to bring this learning to the regional level so that we can showcase a model of social impact initiative that fosters inclusion for women and youth. So thank you very much.
I have not seen yet questions on the chat, so I'm going to start, and maybe that will raise other questions from the participants. I have a question because, especially for you, Marlene, and Yuma, at Tostan, I know that the way you are implementing the CEP is demand driven. So it's not like Tostan comes and go to an area and like I know and I can explain I have this great program and I'm going to have like someone just share this to you. But that there is like a strong element of communities being interested in the program and actually willing, like actually calling Tostan in. Under this partnership with Kossam, how are you? So I don't know how far you had already a lot of demand in this area or not. And like, yeah, I was just wondering how far you were seeing this happening in the communities, and like how you would implement that. Like, how do you select communities who are going to join the joint program?
Thank you very much. So one thing you have to know is that Tostan, while we have been implementing our program over the years, and especially those past few years, one demand from the communities is always about, you know, being always more reinforced about their economic resilience. People are really eager to get training, capacity building, and to have more in order to have more earnings, you know, because that's yeah, one key issue for them, really. So we really believe that, you know, bringing I mean, talking about I mean, working with Lettres du Berger, who already works on this aspect of economic resilience, will only strengthen you know, the reach of our program for communities. So we really believe mostly every community in Senegal or in West Africa could be interested by such a program. But to answer more directly your question, you know, what we do is that, you know, as Bagore just presented, they are working with thousands of you know, of men and women, of community members, and so I guess I mean, you know, we will do what we do usually. We always present our in the pre-CEP phase, so to say. We always come to communities and present what we do. And if communities are interested, they just have to say it and to apply, to ask for the program. Sometimes we cannot answer to all demands because there are too many. But so the goal is that really, when we come in a village, it's not because we decided that, it's because they asked for it. So yeah, we will continue with that approach, of course.
And also, Lauren, I want just to complete that in terms of communities sharing us the willingness to have our program. We also have some meeting with local authorities like the commune before we go to the communities to inform them what are our program and to make sure they will be interested. It was just to complete that, it is also a partnership with local government authorities.
Sounds good. Yeah, I was wondering because, well, Bagore and Aruna knows that even better than myself, but it's true that when we visited like farmers in Dagana, yeah, we realized that the household relationship between men and women was really not in favor of women, and because the community empowerment program has so strong results with women, or you would wonder like if men spouse are ready to be like, I want my wife to be actually empowered. I want her to discuss decisions. Like things like that. I know it sounds a bit silly, but I imagine that there are places where it's easier to implement such a program than in others. And the region where Bagore decided to start his business and his social business is actually a difficult one for women.
Yeah, well, exactly. Thank you for raising this question. Yes, this area has really patriarchal gender norms, as we can say. But you have to remember that Tostan's approach is not to come to a community and impose anything on anyone. We are not going to come and say, okay, we are going to teach women how to become them, more empowered than men or whatever, because that's not what we want to do firstly, and that's not how it works, of course. So Tostan's objective is just to promote, the harmony and the social cohesion in general for community well-being. So the objective is really to open the floor and the minds of everyone to discussions, and that's each community has to discuss and to think about the way they want to go for their well-being, and it has happened that, as Juma said, as Juma mentioned on the data show that, according to countries, according to moments, and to also the subjects, some villages will not go very far in terms of, positive social change, but change is happening, and change doesn't in that area, in social norms area, doesn't happen just in 1 or 2 years, but what we can bring is just to open discussions and the mindset and give information so that the communities can decide for themselves. So yeah, I see Aruna also wants to talk.
Yeah, I just wanted to complete to what Marlene said. Effectively, I think a lot of change had occurred with our intervention. And as we said, we used to work in economic aspect, but we just realized a lot of this change, need to be appreciated by the household by themselves. And I think with a Tostan approach, with their participative approach, it will be a way for these households these families to just realize this change and to make more confidence the responsibilities of women, because the reality is the women take care more than more a part of responsibilities. They use all the revenue to improve families' situation. And maybe with this kind of with Tostan approach, it will be a way to awake them or to wake them to be more confident about the position of this woman. I think it will be a way to change things deeply and effectively to accept women to take more position. And I would like to highlight the fact in the cooperative where it's a new mindset for them. I was in their last assembly. They just realized, they communicate about women should take a position in their world. I think it's a new way to just one have position, the major position in make a decision and to effectively well, that's why I would like to add for Merlin intervention in Juma. Thank you.
There is also a very interesting thing that was implemented in the cooperative of Ghana, according to me at least. I wonder if Auna, you want to develop a bit more. I know that in the executive bureau for the cooperative, each role is a pair, and it's a pair of a man and a woman.
Exactly. La parité, c'est ça.
Yes.
Exactly. In the last assembly, we just communicate about we need to have parity, and it's a way to just accept for the community that women should take a position in any level of instant making the decision in sense, and also I confirm that.
I think it would be very interesting to see, like, after the implementation of the community empowerment, how like far the dynamics change also in this kind of setting that is more interactive, because the intentional pairing is the first step that is so important to have women in the room. And that's already like not obvious at all in a lot of instances. But next is to have women actually speak. And sometimes you see that, the dynamic is not necessarily, you have, representation, but in terms of who takes the decision, who takes the lead, who speaks, the gender balance is still like pretty imbalanced, and more men taking the lead and discussing, even when you have this pairing system. So it'd be super interesting to see if these dynamics change with the shift that Tostan is trying to bring in terms of social norm in the area.
Definitely, and if I can just add a few words, is that, you know, what I was explaining about the fact that we always mix men and women together in class sessions, and you know, women are elected at CMCs and so on. You know, during 3 years, they are trained to learn how to speak in public, to speak for themselves, to discuss with men, because they are not always, you know, used to that. So, you know, with what Lettres du Berger has introduced and our project, I think we can go really further. So that would be very interesting.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I know we've passed the time that we set up for ourselves. So just wanted to thank Marlene, Juma, Arona, Bagore, like the team for being such great partner, for being on board to have this presentation even in English. So which is like a challenge for us in based in like we're all francophone and beyond francophone, but not anglophone. So thank you again for like joining, sharing, accepting to share what the amazing work you're doing on the ground. I hope that and thanks participants for joining us. I hope that it was an interesting session for you and that it brings like more thoughts for your program, for your research, and yeah, it just gives you a few ideas of solutions that have been tested on the ground and that we think are really promising. So thanks again, and if you're going to the live conference in Kigali next week, there will be like a colleague from Tostan will be there, so hopefully you'll bump into Godfrey, and yeah, do not hesitate to keep on sharing spreading the word, and thanks, and have a good afternoon.